Yo, hi guys, Ringwan Sini. Thank you for watching this live. So, if you want to buy a house but you do not know how to buy, this video is for you. So tonight, we because I'm opening another on my YouTube channel. Yeah. So today we have invited Ernest, the head of the property advisory divisions, Mr. Ernest, to help you guys to buy your very first house. So if you have any questions regarding like how to buy a house, this is the best chance for you to ask Ernest. So let us welcome Ernest. Hi Ernest, how are you?
Hey, fine. Thank you so much, Meng Hon. How are you? Thank you so much for having me on today.
Very good. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's Thursday night, and then everyone is busy, and thanks for your time to join our live tonight.
Pleasure. Property is something that's very interesting. So when you talk to me about property, I'm very interested to talk.
So Ernest, do you mind to talk a bit about what is your background in the real estate industry? So that the people that are watching this video now, they can get to know you a bit more.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on. My career started about 20 years ago when I came back from university. So I reached Malaysia in 95, 96, just before the Asian financial crisis, and I started working in a bank. So when I was working in the bank, I helped the company open up a new division, which is to take care of people who had above a certain amount of money. It's called relationship banking. And what I did was to have the opportunity to speak to a lot of people who had quite a lot of money, a lot of assets. So I took the opportunity to ask them, hey, how you become rich? So I'm being very kepo, because if I can learn their secret, then hopefully I also can become like them in the sense of growing wealth. And all this throughout the 4 or 5 years when I first started in the banking line, and I talked to probably about 200-300 customers. A majority of them said one thing: property, real estate. So I thought, wow, this is very interesting, property and real estate. And of course, when you work in a bank, the salary is kind of fixed and it's not very high. And I'm telling myself, wow, how do you take a loan? Buying property cash is a lot of money. And then if you want to take a loan, it's a lot of money. You never borrow so much money before, and then you want to buy a property, it's a big loan. So I was quite concerned. And of course, talking to a lot of people helped me understand that property is a significant factor of their wealth. So that after the banking line, I went into business. Again, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of high net worth people because of the business I did. And I start talking about things about their life, their lifestyle, the decisions, how they grow their wealth. Again, property. This is quite interesting. So fast forward, the last 10 years, I've been involved with real estate advertising, media sales. So I was with Malaysia's biggest property portal at a point in time. And I was dealing basically with real estate agents. And in that real estate portal, when I speak to the real estate agents, a lot of the real estate agents that didn't have anything when they first started their career, within 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, their wealth actually grew very, very fast when they started investing in good properties. So I thought this is quite interesting. And then about 5 years ago, I joined Malaysia's largest paid newspaper. I was running a digital portal for their property site. And then I also got a chance to meet property developers. And wow, property developers also become very wealthy because of real estate. So to me, the underlying wealth, yes, there's many groups, you can buy bonds, stocks, shares, gold. But at the end of the day, property is an underlying thing. So I personally have experienced property growing my personal wealth. So I speak wholeheartedly, buy property, but don't buy gila. Don't buy the...
I think there are a lot of property agents nowadays, because me myself, like my friends around me, a lot of them are property agents, So I do not know a lot about property lah. So sometimes if you want to ask me lah, Wing, why don't you buy a property? Because first thing, of course, I do not know who should I trust, because sales you get commissions so those agents will say, oh Wing, you buy this lah, confirm earn money lah, whatever value lah, so it's very hard not very hard, it's very scared for us, especially those beginners, because we do not know who should I trust and whether this property agent, is it trustworthy for now, should I trust them? If not, I put my money there And then after a couple of years, I want to call the agent. Agent said, "Oh, that's I don't know. There's the market is like that. How? So we are scared of that actually. For me lah.
One of the things I always tell myself when I try to do something different or something new, there's always the fear of making a mistake, the fear of making a wrong decision, the fear of not taking action when action is required. So my only advice for situations like that, and I'm speaking direct from the heart, the only way is to get the information, to get the correct information. And the other way, after you get the correct information, is to analyze the information. It means that you need to study. You cannot trust just because somebody say you trust bulat. You yourself need to understand. So how do you understand? There are many books that are out there. There are many courses. In fact, on YouTube, there's so many sessions and lessons as well that one can learn about how to buy, where to buy, what to buy, when to buy, what are the key things to buy, mistakes that other people have made when they buy. So these are the important things that you should spend some time to buy before you buy. And the reason why I say that, Mekon, is this. This is not like buying vegetables, It's not like buying 50 ringgit shirt. Then you come back, alamak, the shirt wrong. But if you buy the shirt wrong, even if you give it away as somebody's birthday present, then at least, okay, you use it again. But if you buy a wrong property, wow, the bank will never forget you. So one of the developers told me many years ago, and I still think it's funny. They always say, buying the wrong property is like marrying the wrong person. It's worse than marrying the wrong person. Because when you marry the wrong person, at least, okay lah, cannot jalan already, you go your way, I go my way lah. But when you buy the wrong property and you tell, I cannot rent, I cannot sell, what am I going to do with it? I don't pay the installment lah. The bank will never forget you, Until you finish paying the loan, the bank will make sure you remember them. So buying the wrong property is very dangerous because it's not something that happens every day, like buying vegetables or buying food. Buying property, you need to have the information. You need to have the education. So I strongly suggest you develop friends, develop the awareness and the knowledge before you say, okay, I got money, I just buy. If it is so easy, just buy, sure, go up. In a sense, it's somewhat true because properties are not commodities, they're actually quite large assets, but not everything goes at the same speed. So if you buy something that is in a place where there's flooding, very difficult for you. If you buy in a place that has landslide, also difficult for you. If you buy a place that has a lot of conditions whereby there's high tension wires that people are very scared of, or next to a cemetery that people are very scared of, that's also going to impact. So it's important to understand how to choose. Then you need to understand why they say this area is good and why this area is not good, and why would make this area become more valuable than another area that is less valuable. So there's a lot of factors. If you're staying there, it means different. If you're buying to invest and rent it out, it also means different. So there's a lot of things that you need to consider. Education is the only way out.
So we have a question here for Tian. I have 15K in my, this one I don't know. I have 15K in my account. So what should I do with it? Actually buy something. I don't know.
Yeah, if you got 15K in your account too, I don't know whether you can take out all 15K. But if you have 15K in your account too, it also tells me that you may want to have a bit more cash to make a sizable deposit for a property. I'm not for sure. I presume that this person is interested, that Tian is interested in property. That's why he's writing this in this particular show. But if this is real estate, and the first thing is to find out how much he can take out or she can take out. And then if there is an amount that is quoted, I'm just thinking that if they can take, say, 20% of 15K is 3,000. So that 3,000, what can they do? They can probably put a deposit into a property that is, I think, probably 150 to 200,000 ringgit. She can decide, or he can decide what to then decide what kind of property he can buy at this price range. The challenge is this: one should always remember, property is a long-term game. So when you look at certain properties, it looks, wow, this area very chap, this area very messy, this area very dirty. But if you're buying today, because of what you see today, you may miss the opportunity for the future. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, when people talk about Jinjiang, if people are familiar with Jinjiang in KL, wow, Jinjiang is very messy, very dirty, very far. whatever they say, but Jinjang now is 1 million ringgit per house. So if you had that foresight at that point in time to buy, even though people are not happy with it or people are not very proud of it, the prices all go up. And if you bought it right at that point in time, it would make you a lot of money. So it takes time when you buy. There's so many examples in the Klang Valley where these things happen. Like for instance, even Desa Park City. Desa Park City is Kapong. But when people say last time, Desa Park City, wow, Desa Park City, wow, these prices are so high. And now if you ask most KLites, Desa Park City, oh, I know where Desa Park City is. It's a famous place already, but and it's very expensive. But many years ago, it was people say, no, why you want to buy here? Got so many other places cheap. So as they say, cheap is not just good. So with this particular question from Tian, I would strongly suggest find out how much Tian can withdraw. If Tian is able to look for an investment that can give a higher rate than the EPF, then consider taking it out. If not, keep it in EPF first, take education, learn. If Tian is interested in other forms of investment, learn. Because I think in EPF, you're also allowed to take your money out to do other forms of investment, like I think unit trust. I think Tian can also look at other forms of approved investment vehicles, not just property. But of all the things that I've seen so far over the long term, I love property more.
So for example, for someone like me, because I have not bought any property yet, and there are tons of new development coming around Klang Valley, Selangor, just every single place So what are maybe the three things for a newbie like me to look up for? If I want to buy a new
Okay, so one of the things one of the three things, and I'll say them maybe not in rank, so at least you can take them as 3 points that you have to look at. The first one is, what is your affordability level? How much can you afford? Because again, property is something that's over the long term. When you take a loan to buy, and most people will need to take a loan to buy, they will not be able to buy the property outright in cash. So when they buy with a loan, they have to make sure that they have income stability. Income stability is not job stability. Let me just clarify that what it means. It doesn't mean staying in a job forever and ever just to pay the income, to pay the loan. What it means is you need to have the skill and you need to have the talent and the commitment to grow the value that you produce for your company that you work for, or even your business, so that you continue to either generate the same or higher levels of income over time. So number one is yourself. Invest in yourself. Become good at what you do. Become excellent at what you do and create value. That's number one. That is commitment. The second thing is look at where you want to live. If you are buying for yourself, where do you want to live? So if you like to live in a certain location, so right now, just say if you live in Kapong, and someone says, hey, you should buy in let me choose a place, Cheras. If your life is all around Kapong, buying in Cheras doesn't make sense, because every day you have to move from here, Kapong to Cheras, just to come to work, or just to send your kid to school, or just to come and visit your wife's family or whatnot, or your own family. So where do you want to live? Buy what you're comfortable with, especially if it's for yourself. So that's the second one, choice of lifestyle and location. The third one is, once you know the kind of lifestyle that you like, that means if you like to actually have closeness to shopping centers or closeness to transport, because you don't believe in wanting to buy your own car, you want to make sure that you want to reduce the carbon footprint that you have, then you've got to look for the transportation lines that is able to support the life that you want. So if you get 2 out of 3, it's not bad. 1 out of 3 is challenging, but 3 out of 3 is the best, where it's affordable. Yeah, it's affordable in a location that you're comfortable with.
When you say affordable, what sort of range is that?
Affordable to your income. In fact, there's a formula that I always share with people based on what income they have, and you minus off all the commitments that they've got, and this formula is quite simple. And once you understand the formula, you yourself will know your budget before you go out to shop. So if you see something that's really nice, super cheap, especially when you see the advertisements online, I'd be very, very skeptical. If it's so cheap, is it real? So you can still call the advertiser to find out whether is it really there, and just do a quick assessment to yourself. But if you have 100,000 ringgit budget, and you look at a property for 100,000, the property is not going to be just 100,000. If you buy a brand new property, then certain things will come with the transaction, meaning that the developer may sell with say the SPA price included in, free documentation. But if you buy a sub-sale, that means from another owner, not a developer, then a lot of the expenses will come out of pocket. You have to pay for your own SPA, you have to pay for your transfer, and you may have to pay for your loan agreement. Most importantly, you may also have to pay for renovation as well. So sometimes when you buy certain things, you may want to change the room, change the paint, change the wallpaper, change the tile if the roof is leaking, the plumbing. So if you only have 100,000, don't buy something 100,000. Buy something less than 100,000 because the others will give you a buffer for something else. So you have to understand your budget first. That's my biggest message to everybody who's listening in today. You need to know what your budget is. Then only it's easy to go look for things. Yeah.
So one more question for you. I have been thinking of this question as well. So Lelong versus new house. So if I want to do a investment in property, so should I go for Lelong houses or new houses? What are the pros and cons on these two?
Sure. So Lelong houses actually are very different. So Lelong, as you know, are auction houses. So auctions usually happen when the borrower who taken the loan from usually a bank to buy is unable to service the mortgage. So when they're unable to service the mortgage, the bank will then foreclose on the house and put the house for auction. So when you want to go and buy an auction house, a Lelong house, you have to understand a few things. There are certain rules and regulations about Lelong houses that's a bit different than new houses. New houses is from a developer. The developer is quite clean in the sense that, you're buying a brand new house. These houses, when you buy, they usually have a period whereby there's a warranty. Any problem with the house, anything that you think is not as per what is contract, you can tell the developer, hey, these things need to be rectified. You can make a complaint. But when you buy a Lelong house, which is a second-hand house, you not only have to deal with, again, you need to probably secure the property of the Lelong house by paying the deposit to bid, and then after that paying the difference to actually own the house. Then when you get the Lelong house, you need to also probably work with a tenant who may still be inside the house, and then ask them, maybe you want to move out, can I help you move out? And if they say, okay, no problem, it's easier. If they say, no, I don't want to move out, then you have a bit of an issue. Sometimes though, the Lelong houses, if they are already vacated, that means there's nobody there, then you need to do the inspection of the house. Usually for Lelong houses, you can't go in to take a look at the house. You can only see the house from the outside. So once you open the door, good luck. Sometimes, if you're lucky, great. If sometimes you go in, it's like, wow, there's a lot of things that you need to do. So your 100,000, as I gave you the example just now, you may need a lot more money to make the house repairable instead so that you can move in.
So I have to buy the house first, then only I can
go in. You can't just go in like that. There have been good stories and bad stories. There have been stories whereby the Lelong houses, when they actually, when the winner gets the key, goes in, sometimes the previous owner, very frustrated, very angry that they lost the house, they damaged the house. Damaged the house could be like, they put things into the sewage pipe. When you go to the toilet, the sewage, they put cement inside. So in order for you to make it usable again, there's a lot of work and money to actually get it fixed and whatnot. And then of course, there's also another horror story. There was a condo that was sold a few years ago and under Lelong, and the new owner went to open the place and there was a fridge. Open the fridge, there's a body in the fridge. So immediately it became a criminal case, and then police had to come back in again. So there's a lot of interesting things. But by and large, the Lelong properties are usually good value in the sense that they become quite affordable. The prices sometimes can be quite affordable and very attractive. Sometimes it's luck. Sometimes you need the advice of the agents that are very familiar in the area to give a bit of advice. Again, I can only say you need to have the information first. Don't go in because, wow, cheap, buy. Dangerous, very dangerous.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I saw a lot of people, on FB, they just, buy the house very cheap, and then, so I spent, a couple of $1,000 to renovate, and then I re-rent it back, and then, I earn, that's what
that is also a strategy whereby you buy cheap, you either sell high or you rent. Your rental can be lower than your neighbors who bought at a higher price because your entry cost is lower. But at the same time, it also still means you need to know the area. You need to know if you're buying to rent it out, what is the affordable price for people wanting to pay, whether that property itself will attract the type of tenant you want, whether the property itself will be able to sustain the tenant that you want. I'll tell you why. If you're actually renting it to a lot of students, if you're looking at students only, international students, a situation like COVID-19, all the international students go back to their country. Then what do you do with your property? If you depend on the rental to pay your mortgage, that means if the renter come in, you can pay. If the renter don't come in, how do you pay? So that's why when you buy a property, you need to know what is your capability, your cash flow. That's very important. Yeah.
So we have a questions here. Quick questions. I have heard about this BRR strategy, where they buy a broken house which is in a bad condition, then refurbish the place, then retake the loan. Are you using this technique?
Thanks again, Tian, for this question. I think that the BRR strategy, if you say buy something that is in bad condition to redo it and then refinance it, that's one strategy. It's, again, you can say that if you want to get involved in property, I'm not talking about this, you're talking about investment property, Tian. If you're talking about buying to stay for yourself, buying a very poor condition house, redoing it, and then getting the financing once it's done, I think that one is a good strategy for you to stay in that house. And I think that once you make the house better, you're able to also rent it. If you want to actually rent it out, you probably be able to rent it out as well because it looks better than your neighbors. Imagine if you have a terrace house, you live in a terrace house where there's a few terrace houses, everybody has renovated, very nice, very nice, very nice. Yours is the middle one, didn't renovate, very, very thorough. So if you want to rent it out, everybody is so nice, you are not. Chances, if you want to rent, you cannot ask for the same price that everybody else is getting.
You said definitely not staying. Yeah.
If you're definitely not staying, it's going to be rented, then basically what you want to do is to make sure that your investment beyond buying the property must be able to get back the rental that you're aiming for. So if you buy a Mercedes-Benz and rent out at, say, a country price, you're not going to be able to make it back. So if you are trying to refinance it based on the renovation, my strong suggestion is that you've got to know what the renovation value is. Most banks don't favor, I think, renovation that is on the interior only. That means you put a kitchen cabinet in, or you put false plaster ceiling in, or you put this jacuzzi inside. Most banks will not add the value to it. From what I know, most banks actually look at, oh, you added another floor, another room, did extension to the property. They actually look at that as a better value than putting aesthetics onto the property itself. And therefore, if you were to do that, that's one way to actually get a higher loan margin. And therefore, then you can also get a slightly higher rental, because you're also competing with everybody else who's also looking for a place to rent in that area. And if your neighbors is roughly the same price as yours is probably better. But if your neighbors is asking for lower than you, then you may lose the tenant who is price sensitive. But if there's very few that's available for rent and yours is the only one, obviously the demand will go up. So it's a demand supply kind of thing in order to answer your question.
So we have a question, another question. Last month, my family wanted to purchase house, but the agent's step of purchasing the house is quite suspicious. And then he asked, the next question will be, is it illegal to hire a middleman, which is known as banker, as the agent said? My father is 58 and he wanted to borrow loan, got only 12 years term. He said, use joint loan my name, but I am not working.
Okay, now in Malaysia, there's actually a cap. You can either borrow for 35 years maximum or up to 70 years old. That's the rules that the banks apply. So if you're 30 years old, you cannot borrow until you're 70, that is 40 years. You can only borrow for 35 plus 30, which is 65 years old, then your loan will terminate or finish or end. So it's 35 years or 70 years old, whichever comes first. So in this particular case, if your father is 58, yes, it's only 12 years that he can borrow the money for. So when he talks about joint loan, and because you are younger, what it means is that you are able to shoulder the loan for a longer period. Why do people consider a longer period loan? Is because the longer the period, the smaller the monthly installment. The shorter the period, the higher the monthly installment. So that's the reason why people are attracted to a longer repayment period. Now, if, for instance, a higher middleman known as a banker, I'm not sure of that question. But if that question means using a banker to apply for the loan, sometimes the banker is able to give advice as to how the bank that the banker is working at looks at such loan applications. Because in order to process the loan, the bank, trust me, every bank wants to lend money one. Every bank. Why? That's how they make money. If you just put fixed deposit in the bank and nobody borrows money from the bank cannot make money. Because the bank makes money because they take the fixed deposit and give a certain fixed deposit rate, but they lend the money out to make a bigger profit. So the difference between the price that they pay for the fixed deposit and the price that they get for the loan they give, that's their profit. So they need to lend money. So if you look at it, the bank wants to make sure that they can get the money back. How do they make sure that they can get the money back? They want to look at all the scenarios whereby the risk to them is very low. What does that mean? The property is of value. If you buy today $1, tomorrow they say there's no value, then all of a sudden the bank who's lend you the $1 say, "Ayo, I cannot get my money back." So property value is important. The second thing is the borrower. Is the job stable? Is the income stable? Is there enough time for the loan? If you're only borrowing 1% at 58, that means in 12 years this loan must finish. So is the income for this person borrowing sufficient or not to do that? So sometimes speaking to the banker, they can give you the advice that maybe different banks have different ways of analyzing risk. This will help. But in as far as joint loan is concerned, I think it's more of the banks trying to make sure that if the monthly installment is too high, having a co-guarantor who is younger to stretch the loan period, or called the loan tenor, I think that's their purpose. And that's actually quite legal. You can do a joint purchase. Okay, I hope that answers the question.
So let's answer another question from Ken as well. If you were to start back at the age of 24, so I think Ken is 24 years old. How would you start by building your wealth empire? I think Ernest is going to say property.
Ten, this is such a wonderful question, because you know what? I was just talking to a couple of friends a couple of days ago. If we could turn back time, what would we do? And a couple of weeks ago, I was actually talking to a real estate agent that has made a lot of money. I said, what would you have done differently? So I've also asked the same question. So Tian, I'm going to give you my personal answer. I would have bought a lot more. When I bought my first property, I was very, very worried, very scared. But I can tell you one thing, and I just wanted to share this with everybody that you have online today. Once you know how to handle cash flow, that is the most critical lesson that I can share with all of you. Learn how to manage cash flow. Once you learn how to manage cash flow, in my opinion, there is no different managing a $300,000 debt and a $3 million debt and a $30 million debt, because your cash flow, if you know how to structure your cash flow, you can do the monthly installment. So if you ask me, I wouldn't have just bought the first property. I would have bought my neighbor on the right, my neighbor on the left, my neighbor in front, my neighbor at the back. I would buy. And then I would also buy outside Malaysia. Because now when you look at it, life is actually about mobility as well. And sometimes when you look at building your wealth, you're looking at not just Malaysian ringgit. So how do you build your wealth to the international level, whereby if you have children, you want to actually educate your children overseas and you want to hedge against currency? One of the things that I would have also started earlier was looking at properties in areas or countries that can help me hedge in the currency. I'm a bit older than you, Wing Hon. So I remember a time when $1 was 2 ringgit 50 cents. So if you had bought a property for 100,000 US, you would have paid 250,000 ringgit. Assuming nothing changed, the property is still 100,000 US today, it's 400,000 ringgit. So at the end of the day, capital appreciation plus forex gain are two different things that you can look at. But again, ladies and gentlemen, please don't go and buy because it's cheap. you have to understand the difficulty in buying a foreign property is managing it. Why? If the person who stays in the property when you rent it out say, "Ay, the light is not working, it's leaking. You are in Malaysia. How are you going to run? How are you going to go there? Especially now with COVID, you cannot travel. How are you going to manage the property?" So you need to actually have the system, the structure in place. So before you do anything, study, learn. So I hope that answers the question, Tian. It's an excellent question. Thank you.
So, baru tahu dapat pinjam sampai 70 tahun umur. Ya, banyak benda yang kita pun tidak tahu kerana kita tidak familiar dengan property right. So, jika anda ada apa-apa questions, ada apa-apa soalan yang anda nak tahu, ataupun anda nak beli rumah pertama, kedua, ketiga tapi tidak tahu, anda boleh tanya Ernest juga. Okay? Macam tu, macam. Cute nama.
Cute number, very cute.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. After cash flow. Okay, so since if you guys are watching here, if you have any questions regarding property, you can definitely ask Ernest. Ernest is the property advisory divisions. Is it the name? Is that the correct title?
I am the lead for the property advisory division for Malaysia, one of Malaysia's largest real estate agencies. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So Ernest definitely have the experience, the knowledge, to help you guys out, if you want to buy any houses. So before the next questions come in, I have a question for you as well. So is this a good time to buy property? Because of the COVID economy, everyone is, is it a good time?
Okay. My personal point of view is this: when everybody is buying, the price will go up because demand will chase the supply. When everybody is not buying, if you have the capability of buying, it's a good time to get a good deal. So is this a good time to buy? I think every time is a good time to buy if you're able to finance the deal, sustain the loan. Now, if for instance you're looking at properties in a certain location, there may be a situation like right now. Now people who need the cash are more motivated to sell. And because they may need cash more urgently, they are more motivated to make the deal with you. So this is a good time. Even brand new properties, a lot of developers are very happy to talk to people who are really able to borrow, want to buy. They will say, okay, what would it take for you to say yes to come and buy one of my properties? So if you say that there are timings to buy, I think every time is a good time to buy, but now is a better time to buy.
Mm-hmm. So it's confirmed I have to buy already.
It's confirmed that you need to start looking, because you don't want to create a situation whereby last week, again, let me just share the example I told you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Before the Asian financial crisis, 2 ringgit 50 cent to $1.
Mm-hmm.
Within a very short period, it went up to 4 ringgit plus to $1. When was the time to buy? I missed the opportunity already. So you don't want to get caught in that situation, right? Yeah.
Let's go another questions. This one. Hi Ken, when you say you bought your first property, was it a strategic place?
Okay. My first property was actually where I needed to live. So strategic place to me at that point in time was not in terms of rental yield, was not in capital appreciation. It needed to be in a strategic place. What I mean by that is I need to stay in a place whereby my wife and I can go to work easily because of transportation. We had a young child, so we need to send the child to the nanny's place as well, because if it is very far away, we spend more time running to the nanny and picking the child up from the nanny every day. So it had to be in a strategic place. It just so happened that for us, that strategic place was because of location and also because we needed to go to work. It just so happened that the value went up as well, because a lot of people started to look for property in that area. So the capital appreciation also helped. And because of that, we were able to get because when you borrow the money to buy a property, you start like this. And over time, the property loan goes down. The property value doesn't stay here. Property value over time goes up in the more strategic area, but the loan goes down. So the difference between this is the profit. So we were able to take the profit out and buy other properties.
Wait, the loan goes down. Is it because of the depreciation of the money, or how?
No, the loan goes down because you pay every month. When you pay
Oh, you
every
mean
month,
the total
yeah,
sum?
the total loan
Okay,
goes down.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So the total loan goes down because you pay every month, and then the value of the property goes up. So you have two kickers: a lower loan and a higher value. Yeah.
So let's go for this. Hi, Taju. I'm a new subscriber. Where can I follow see further? So we have a Facebook group. I just want to share it here. So it's the wait, let me tag his name. Yeah, you can actually follow this. I already shared on the. You can click on the link lah. Actually, there's a Facebook group lah. And 10 as well. I mean, if you guys want, you can follow the group. This is our very first live of doing property and real estate, because it is something that I'm not very familiar with. And just by coincidence, I know Ernest. And then, we have a goal that, we want to help more Malaysians to buy houses, because as Ernest says, it is definitely a great investment that everyone should have. So, we planned this out like, a couple of days back, and then, Ernest, let's do a live so that we can educate more people, like, especially people like me, not like we do not want to buy a house, but we do not know how to get a house, and also be scared to buy a house. If we buy a house, and we have to start paying monthly installment. And what if I didn't have a job, like COVID now, Matio, so there are a lot of things that we do not know. That's why we are scared, and that's why we decided to have a live, and also thanks for your support, So if more people comes in to watch our live, that will be a very, very good motivation for both of us, to keep, for Ernest as well, to give more valuable information to all of you guys. Yeah.
Can I just take? I know that we have a very short time limit, and I'm aware of that. I wanted to share. I've got a lot of stories to share that why I'm on this journey, but I wanted to share one in particular. Can I just have 1 minute to share this story?
Yeah, go ahead.
I started this whole session by telling you that I started working in a bank. And I wanted to tell a story that's not related to the bank. It relates to my father. My father and mother work in the government. And when they worked in the government, government is iron rice bowl. They don't fire people in the government one. The gaji is sure jalan one until you retire. And my parents actually lived in many, many states because they got transferred a lot. So in every state that we went to, we always stayed in government quarters. That means the government provides the housing for very, very cheap price. So we were staying in these houses. So I remember seeing my father's friends, his peers, also this kind of lifestyle. What happened was that when they retire, what happens is to the house, the government takes back the house. So all of a sudden, when they were paying so little for a big house, now they have to pay a lot more for a much smaller house because the market price is very different. But when you retire, the government doesn't give you the salary in the pension the same value as your salary every month when you're working. So pension is half of what you earn. So if you earn 3,000, half is 1,500. But last time when you stay in the government quarters, you pay 100 ringgit. Now all of a sudden it's 500 ringgit. Your pension is 1,500. Your property rental is 500 ringgit. Wow, your lifestyle becomes very, very challenging because you're not working anymore. So I looked at some of my father's friends, and they were struggling because the children were still studying. The wife wasn't working. Now they are also not working. Income was lesser. Demand for money was more. They needed income. And because of the cost of the house to stay in, they didn't buy. And that's where the challenge comes in. So at some point, you and I will retire. At some point, you and I may not be able to work. And at that point, do I want to deal with a landlord and rising rental? Or do I want to stay in my own house where there's no rental fluctuation? The landlord in the house say, hey, next month, up 200 ringgit. How? But if I stay in my own house, I won't have that problem. So that's a very strong story that's in my mind.
So, sorry, I cannot read Korean. How to know when it's good to buy and not good to buy? I think just now Ernest already explained. This questions. Yeah.
Well, just to reiterate, when is it good and when is it not good? It all depends on when you are ready to buy. I think that's more important. When you're ready to buy, it makes it easier to make a decision to buy, because buying a property is a commitment. It's a discipline commitment on financial discipline.
So I mean, I appreciate you also read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Inside the book it says that property can be an asset and it also can be a liability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind to elaborate more about this? Because I appreciate that people that do not understand when, I mean, just for example, like my parents are, they bought a house. For me, based on the book, the way that they invest in the house, I think is a liability because it cannot generate income for the family because we are staying inside the house.
Yeah.
But unless they sell the house,
Yeah.
then, but the thing is that if they sell the house, I am pretty sure that they cannot buy back the house with that price that they bought before. Yeah.
I think when Robert Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he defined house as asset and house as liability, the concept that he had was, if it's an asset, it generates income. So income and wealth are different. Income is, it puts money in your pocket consistently. Wealth is only towards the end, when you sell it, then only you realize the cash or realize the money or the profit. If it is a liability, what it means is every month you need to pay. So in his concept, I believe, is that if you buy something that you rent out and that rental is enough to cover the monthly installment, then if the installment is this and your cash generated is higher, then it's an asset. If it is the same, it's a zero asset. That means it doesn't add any value. But if it is less, then you're financing it. So basically what it is that this is a liability. But one of the things that I also realized in Malaysia is that cash flow, this is cash flow, there's also capital appreciation. The asset goes up in price. So if you remember the example I told you earlier, Desa Park City, if you could turn back time 20 years ago, someone want to sell you Desa Park City for 388,000 or 400,000 ringgit, would you buy? Wow, rental cannot get all. Who wants to rent this place? Nobody will come on. But the capital appreciation goes up. So what you need to understand is the cash flow to get, if I cannot rent it, then this amount I need to finance it every month, or I stay in it, but I'm willing to wait over the 10 years. When the price goes up, then I can resell it, and that income that you get covers for all the rental that you've paid for 10 years already. So literally, if you're looking at it from another point of view, you live rent-free for 10 years, no need to pay rent, because the house price goes up. It's very different. So there's many ways of looking at it.
We earn from the appreciations of the house, I mean the pricing of the house.
Yes, correct. And there's many ways also. I can also tell you, if you are single, you buy a 3-bedroom house. You can rent the other 2 rooms, right?
Yes.
If you are running a business, you can use part of the monthly installment that you pay as a tax deduction, because you're using your property as a business as well. You have to speak to your accountant for that, because you're working from home. Part of your house is used for work. So those are the things that one should also look at it, a property holistically. Now, I've got friends who've bought properties, and what they do is that they're single. So instead of staying in a master bedroom, they stay in a smaller room. They rent out the master bedroom for more money, and that money can almost cover the monthly installment. So what does that mean? They live rent-free. Someone else is paying the installment. So, and I've also had situations whereby people who live in a condo or buy a condo, they have 2 car parks. They don't drive, they have no car. They rent out the car parks. So other families that have a need for more than 2 car parks, they say, hey, if you want to rent, I rent from you lah. Okay, so monthly income generation again. There's many things that you have to look at, but the idea is to think outside the box. Don't just think a property is just one. You can break it up into a few parts. You can rent a room, you can rent a car park, you can rent a storage space, because some people say, hey, I just need to, can you just rent me 1 room? I just want to store my things inside there. I will lock the door. Okay, fine, you can lock the door there, but I need to have a spare key just in case if there's any fire, that spare key, you will know I opened it, but that has to make sure that happens. So there's many things you can look at.
Okay, so one more question for you is that I'm pretty sure like a lot of people, they're also concerned about this the moratorium. Yeah. So what do you think about the moratorium? Because I think it's is going to end and it is not going to be extended, right?
Well, the extension is for 3 months for those people who have lost their jobs, or for those fellows who actually have had their salaries cut. But as what Prime Minister said yesterday, please go talk to your bank that has given you the mortgage and tell them about your financial situation to get an extension. But what it also means is this: when you have a moratorium, if your salary jalan, that means your salary is still the same, nothing changed, don't take the extra money and spend it on buying things that you don't need. Because what it means is that you still have to repay back the loan. So one of the things I am also quite concerned about is when people get a lot of money, when they don't have to pay back during this last 6 months, and they go and buy things that they don't need or is a liability. When the moratorium is over and when they need to repay back, they may not have the cash already to pay back, And if their salaries, when they go back, get cut or their jobs are threatened, that's where the problem will start again. So cash flow management, and making sure that you're able to deliver value are the 3 most important things that I always will impress upon anybody. If they're wanting to buy, I'll talk about stability of your cash flow. What's the plan A, plan B, plan C? Plan A is fixed income. That means your job. Plan B is if your fixed income has fluctuation, what are you going to do? Are you going to give tuition? Are you going to do a Grab? Are you going to offer your services on an ad hoc basis? What? How do you create more value? Are you going to look for a better paying job? Are you going to start your own business? Those are very important things. And learning how to manage and become disciplined in your finances, super important.
Yeah, I just wondering, like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so now the thing is that if you have 100 ringgit in your wallet, how much do you spend in 1 week? Only when you track what you spend on, then only you know where your money goes.
Wow,
so if you, so my challenge to you is 100 ringgit, you can eat one meal, 100 ringgit gone. Or you can live like a student. 100 ringgit can last 2 weeks because you eat very cheaply, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Buy bread, 1 loaf of bread can last you 3 meals for 2 days. So it depends on how low your burn rate is. Because the more money you're able to cater towards your repayment, the longer your ability to sustain, the more you'll be able to save. And when everybody else wants to sell, you're the only one who has the cash to buy. And when you can buy, it means you can get the deal. So cheap doesn't mean good. What I'm looking for is value. Is there value? Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. No, I just want to ask just now, like, so for people that want to know more about like properties, do you like give any like classes, courses, or how does it? Because this kind of things, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people that they want to know, but they do not know who that they can trust and go and ask for the to get the right question answer.
Well, I will stay right off the bat. I'm not a guru. I'm not a sifu. I'm not a person who say I'm very, very good. No. But I have bought property before myself. I've experienced it. So in my experience, this is what lessons I've learned. If you're willing to listen, I'm willing to share. I don't have a problem with sharing because I firmly believe when we all become wealthy, it's easier to move around. We are able to take care of people that we love, people who we love, do the things that we love. Now, just to explain to you a little bit with regard to where I learned this from, again, as I first started this conversation, I learned from all the high net worth customers that I had, how they bought, where they bought, why they bought, when they bought, how they financed it, how they sustained it, because most of my customers were business people, and business is not always up. It goes up and down. So what happens when the economy is up? Do they buy more? Do they then pay off the loan? What do they do? And when business is down, when they got no money, what do? Do they refinance it to the bank so that they have enough money to sustain the business? Those are all the strategies. And you don't have to make the mistakes that they made. Some of them have written good books. And books are free, meaning that there's a lot of downloadable material for free, or you can watch on YouTube. Or if you really want to be a good learner, there's quite a lot of books right now in the market that you can buy. But most important, when you read anything, you have to go through your own cognitive ideas. That means you have to think for yourself. What happened to them at that time may not be the same as you. So you need to actually understand yourself and learn your discipline yourself. Learn.
And yeah, for those that interested, to know more about real estate property, we have do a landing page, a subscription based. I mean, you just subscribe, and if you have any new what knowledge, any new things that we are going to share with you to your email. So I'm going to put the link, so you should be able to see the link now. So for those that want to like receive any news or any learning material from Ernest, you can just click on the propertyharimau.gr8.com, and then it will bring it to a landing page, and then you just subscribe. And when we have any new classes, like any new live like this one, we are going to give you an email so that you can just click and then just watch us, and then you will not miss any live like this if you want to learn more about property. And I strongly believe that property is really something that, just like Ernest said just now, most of the richest people, they start from property. Am I right, Ernest?
Yes, they build their wealth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that I really do not know at all. Yeah, so that's why it's great to have like Ernest to come on board, to know him as well personally, so that we can do more things together and get rich together.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ernest, anything else that you want to share, or if you guys have any question, just comment on the comment box, and then we are going to finish off at 10 p.m. sharp. So if you have any question, just blast it on the comment box now. All right, we have 10 more minutes to go.
Okay.
Sorry, we have a question here. I've forgotten 10 questions. So, Tycho, Ernest, if you were to live in Penang, what would you suggest? Grounded, high rise? Where would you put yourself at? So I appreciate Tian is also staying in Penang.
So Tian is a young guy living in Penang. Tian, I will give you a story. So I love to probably share this because it's very relevant. When I first came back to Malaysia to work, I worked in Penang. And I bumped into a friend of mine and I said, yeah, I'm not from Penang, so if I'm going to stay in Penang, where do I stay? I'm working here. So my friend said, you come and stay in my house. I said, okay. I asked, are you the owner? He says, no, I'm renting the house. Where's the house? The house is in this place called Minden Heights on Penang Island. So if you know where Minden Heights is, I was surprised. You open the window, I see USM. That's how close to USM. It's just separated by one fence. And I remember 97, during the financial crisis, because my friend is the tenant, he's not the owner, and it was a corner lot. The owner said, I need cash. Do you want to buy or not? You work in a bank. You sure can get loan. You want to buy or not? I'm willing to sell. At that point in time, that house price was 400,000 ringgit.
Mm-hmm. When was that though?
1995. 1995, 96. I said, I got no money. That house, that land was transacted for 2.6 million. So, yeah, and that property was transacted in 2016 for about that price, 2.6 million. So the question here is this: if you want to buy landed or you want to buy high rise, you have to understand what is your intent. If your intent is to stay, is the landed something that suits you, or is the high rise something that you are looking forward to? There are different characteristics. If you buy non-gated, non-guarded, that means you buy like an old development, then security may be an issue. And if you're buying a place where there is a lot of land around it, taking care of the land is important as well, because if the lalang grows too tall, if the weeds are very tall, you may get pests that come in, then people may look at it as the house that is very unkempt. So even if you want to rent it out later, there may be management issues or maintenance issues, or not management issues, maintenance issues. If you stay in a high rise, because some developments, a lot of units. So when you want to rent and everybody else wants to rent, then the price gets pressed. If you want to sell and everybody also wants to sell, the price also gets pressed. But you may want to stay in a condo because the security may be higher. Maybe it's more convenient because in a better location, closer to town, because it's a smaller size. So there's many things I would consider. But if you ask me today, right now, at my age, at 50 years old, what would I want to do if I buy in Penang? Personally, I would like to buy, based on affordability, a condo. Why? Because if I'm living in KL, Penang is my holiday destination. I want to make sure that when I lock the door and I go away, it's relatively safe. If I buy a standard terrace house somewhere in Penang, there's no guards, It's just there. When people know, hey, this house, nobody stay one, every day people drive past, there's no light in this house one, it's very dangerous. So I'm looking at it from a security aspect as well. So different people have different needs. If you're looking at capital appreciation, I would say landed has a higher chance, in my opinion. But if you're looking at cost of entry, maybe a condo is actually easier. The rental for condo usually tends to be slightly better than landed, and therefore you need to probably, if you're buying a landed to rent out, you need to probably finance the difference between the rental and the monthly installment for quite some time. I'll give you another piece of example. The landed property that I was telling you about, it took us 15 years for the rental and the monthly installment to be the same. So for 15 years, it was lower than the monthly installment when we rented out. So we had to top up. But the value of the property tripled. So if you buy 300,000, it becomes nearly $1 million in 15 years.
So we have a next question. What do you think of paying thousands of ringgit for a property seminar? Is it worth it? I live in Penang also.
There's a free education site called Khan Academy. I'm giving you examples again. There's a free education site called Khan Academy, where you can get
How do you spell it?
KHAN, Khan Academy, free education.
Oh, Khan Academy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's also education like from University of Oxford or Cambridge or Harvard. That's branded as well. So the question is, what is the value that you get? Property seminars, I think before you go to a property seminar, if you feel that it's a good seminar to go to or you want to learn, my most important advice to anybody before you spend any money, you have to know a bit first before you go in. Because if you go in without knowing anything and expect that property teacher to teach you everything and you become an expert immediately, it's going to be very challenging. Why? They may talk about things that you don't understand. They may talk about things that may only focus on one part, but not necessarily the negative part, or what could happen if it goes really wrong. So you need to arm yourself both ways. My strongest suggestion is learn everything you can learn first on free sites. Speak to as many people. Now there's a lot of property expos where seminar speakers come and speak for free. Go there. Make the effort, go there. Make friends with them. One of the things I would always do, if I could go back in time again, what I would do is I would go and talk to people who share about property. I would go talk to people who have property. Maybe it's your uncle, maybe it's your relative, maybe it's your friend's father or mother. If they have a lot of property, just ask them, hey, how do you buy? How do you manage? What do you buy? Why you buy? Where you buy? When to buy? And try and piece the information together. There'll be some people who say, fantastic. There's some people who say, very bad. It's the same as when I always tell people, when you eat a very good plate of nasi lemak, where's the best place? Everybody will have a different place to say one that's the best. So there is no one best. It's everybody got different versions of the best. So once you're able to piece all it together, you will know, oh, what best means is the flavor, the smell, the aroma. The other one is maybe it is the portion, big portion. Maybe the sambal only, the rest are not important. So once you're able to pull all these important things together, then you know, these are the checklists. Is the location good? Is it safe? Is it close to amenities? Is the monthly installment flexible or not? Is the tenants, are your neighbors good neighbors or not? Is the neighborhood good or not? Is it safe? Is there a lot of robbery or crime in the area or not? When it floods, does it affect the road to go home or not? Those are the things I would look at before I would say, okay, just buy because it's cheap. So I hope I answered your question, Tajol. You don't earn money very easy. Please don't spend money like water. You must get value. I would actually ask the seminar speaker, if I come and pay you this money, what will I learn? And don't get caught up by emotion. The most important thing is this. A lot of times people buy with their heart, and I agree, because this is a big asset. But don't just get caught up with your emotion. You have to have your brain and your heart work together.
Okay. So we have a final answer. What is? If I'm able to provide value to you, will you think as an apprentice? What do you work as, Tian? I'm interested to know also. I mean, since you bring out the questions. Well, to be honest, I'm not good at all in property. You know, it's all about Ernest. I just organize this live show only. Yeah, so I'm not good at all. Yeah.
Tian, I'm very flattered. Again, I want to say I'm not a sifu. I can only share what my experience is. I don't make fantastic decisions all the time. If you get to know me better, I will also share with you the mistakes I've made. Or the next session that we can have is about mistakes people make when they buy property or when they don't buy property. But if you're talking about being an apprentice, I think, Tian, my biggest suggestion to you is please connect with us. Please connect with Wing Hon. I think that by connecting with us, it gives us an opportunity to share more, and then you'll be alerted when we have more information to share. Be a student. Even at my age, I'm telling myself, I still don't know much. There's so much to learn. There's so much to experience. In property, I'm not talking about anything else. Because over the last couple of weeks, I've been looking at land. I've been looking at industrial area. I've been looking at factory lot. I've been looking at office units, shopping malls, hotels. Wow, those are many, many things to view opportunity at. But before anything can happen, you need to have the information. So, Tian, until we connect, please, there's a lot of free material out there. There's a lot of free videos out there. Watch, learn. If you have any questions, please tell Wing Hon. Look, I have this question, I have this problem, I have this issue, I have this idea. What can work? And if I cannot have the answer myself, if I don't have, if there's a demand, if people want to, I can probably bring some of my friends that I ask advice from. Hey, what do you think? And then we can actually have more people to throw in the ideas, what they think. And not every guru talk about the same thing, man. And not everybody has the same experience because they will have different experiences, they say different things. It is up to you to use this information for your life, to use this information for your situation. So I hope that answers your question, Tian.
Yeah, I think that's it for now today lah. Anything they want to add on, Ernest, before we going off? Yeah, thanks for Tajulafham.
Thank you, Tajul. Thank you so much for your comment. My goal is very simple when I talk to Wing Hon, and I just want to share this with you guys. I really believe if you have your own home, you can really take care of your financial future, but you have to do it smartly. I used to tell my friends, don't buy gila, because when you buy gila, you don't know what you're doing. It becomes emotional. Buying a property is a very good feeling that you can take care of yourself, but it's a very difficult feeling when you don't know what you're doing. Don't get caught up in just emotion. It has to be brain and heart together. So do connect with us. Thank you so much, Wing Hon.
Yes, no worries. And also, I will put down the link again for you guys if you guys want to, like, if you have any like new live like this, or if you have any new information to share with you guys. If you guys want to know all of this knowledge and also sharing, you can just subscribe to the link that I give it to you guys now. And also, I'm gonna share another one. This one is for the FB group. Yeah. So there are two links for you guys. Okay. So thank you for your support. You know, because this is our first live on property, and yeah, I hope that we're going to see you guys again. Anything else, Ernest, before we chowing?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I look forward to connecting with you again and sharing more information and helping your viewers to make better property decisions.
Thanks, Ernest. Thanks for coming in. Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.